So, what are you guys drinking today?
I'm doing water. Woo!
Woo!
I've got a Sam Adams Oktoberfest again, because that's all I drink, apparently.
I got a Yingling Oktoberfest. I think I'd win this time.
I don't.
I
but-
do.
What do you got, Tasha?
Dr. Pepper.
Ice cold Dr. Pepper, Tasha's trademark drink.
Dr. P, the official sponsor of Pennywine.
That's right.
So happy Halloween, everybody.
Yes.
Happy Halloween.
So, did you guys watch all 4 movies? Everybody good on the 4?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys. No, but so we got 4 interesting movies for you guys today. We got Trick or Treat, Boys in the Trees, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and Pumpkinhead. Yeah, so one of those movies in the list sucks. I will leave it to you guys to figure out which one it's going to be. So, which one do you guys want to start with?
Jake,
No, I don't care.
it's up to you.
Apparently, Mike has very strong opinions, so why don't we start with that one? Let's get
All
it
right,
off
so
to a
we're-
really angry start.
Yeah, so let's start out with Pumpkinhead.
Good evening, Pennywine listeners. Jake here. Just wanted to let you know about our sponsor. This month's episode of Pennywine Horror Club is brought to you by Pumpkinhead's Lackluster Lager. Are you looking for a vague Halloween movie that gets lost in plot holes and muddy mythology? Well, look no farther. Pumpkinhead Lager starts with a sweet taste of an interesting legend and monster, but it quickly turns sour with so much unnecessary dialogue and boring characters that you'll be begging to get run over by a dirt bike by the end of it. Also has a slight pumpkin aftertaste. Just head on down to your local witch cabin to taste what critics are calling, 100% alcohol by volume.
So, Jake, you recommended this shit movie. Go ahead and summarize it for the audience, please.
Yeah, so it's like an urban legend, Pumpkinhead is. Basically, it opens on this family that lives on a farm, and there's this guy running through the woods, and he's being chased by something. You don't know what it is, and then he tries to get into the house, and the family's like, I can't help you. You done did it to yourself. And then he dies, and then that kid grows up, and then he has a kid of his own, and then these, like, douchey kids from the city come and ride dirt bikes and run over his kid, and then it's basically like Pet Sematary, where he wants to bring his kid back to life and get revenge on the city kids. So he goes to this witch that lives in the woods, and then she's like, all right, I'm going to get me some Pumpkinhead on him. And then she summons Pumpkinhead, and then they start killing all the teenagers. But then the dad feels bad about it and tries to stop it, and then he kills himself, which also kills Pumpkinhead for some reason.
Yeah,
The end.
because they're linked. Time becomes a link. Holy shit! You got a Pennywise behind.
Well, I know. Yeah, Pennywise is looking in through my window right now for the
Yeah.
listeners at home.
Yeah.
And
Holy
you-
shit.
Anyway, ignore him.
All right.
So what do you guys
so-
think about the monster, the Pumpkinhead? So he looks just like Alien. And it happened right around the same time, right?
No, it was way late after Alien. I think this was like 87 or 88.
88 with Pumpkinhead. I think early 80s for Alien. Maybe 70s.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
Okay.
it was 79 for Alien. I think so. It was about a
Um,
decade.
I felt like the Pumpkinhead kind of looked like Little Sam in
Yeah.
certain ways.
Yeah.
Like the
yeah, I
one
got
when
that.
the. Or go ahead.
Yeah, I got that pumpkin texture when I saw him. Like, especially like the moment where in Trick or Treat where the dude blows the mask off and you see the Pumpkinhead. You know,
Yeah, when
it's-
Pumpkinhead first like came to life when he was that little baby size, I thought that looks exactly like Sam, without the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So one of the things about this movie is the first act, where it tries to set up all these characters and stuff, but you don't really learn anything about them, and it just sort of wastes the first 30 minutes of your life, and you're like, man, I'm about to go to sleep.
I Yeah, the characters were really that the douche that runs over the kid was like he was stereotypical 80s douchebag character. But what I thought Pumpkinhead did better than all those other movies is like obviously we said he runs this kid's riding his dirt bike and runs over the farmer's son, and then he just basically leaves, just goes into the cabin and basically holds all the other people hostage so that they can't call the police and get him in trouble. So it's like, yeah, that's like the worst thing he could possibly do, and it's like a trope stereotype. But I thought in that case, like, I could see his motivation for doing that, because it's basically like he killed this kid, he's going to jail, so he's like trying to not he's trying to not have to deal with that situation. So yeah, he was a stupid stereotypical dick, but I thought it was more the way they wrote that felt more more realistic as to like why he was a dick.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but like that happened around 45 minutes in though. Like
Yeah.
the kid doesn't even get hit by the dirt bike in the first act. Like that's kind of what sends off the second act is that. So like I was just when I think it does pick up in the second and third act a little bit, but I don't know. I just as it went, I kept thinking like, oh, it's about to end or this is about to happen. And what I will give it was it was a little bit unpredictable, like at certain moments, but like they foreshadow like, oh, we're in this old church, maybe it won't like this place, and then it didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the point of that line? But it's kind of like false foreshadowing. So I was like, all right, that's fine. Kind of liked that. I thought the old lady was pretty good. Like I thought that was a funny slash like good performance. I liked it.
The witch woman.
Yeah,
Yes.
the witch woman. Yeah, the witch woman. And then the kid that helped them gave a good performance. He was sort of the I know everything. I'm gonna keep the plot going forward character. He's like, I'm gonna show you where the witch is, and then I'm gonna help you figure out like what the heck's going on here. You know, put the two and two together. These characters can be pretty smart, or at least some of them. Some of them are like dirt stupid, and some of them are actually kind of smart.
Yeah, what about that one girl that like just froze and didn't do shit, and you had to like make sure that she was all right? She's basically the one that got him in danger in the first place. After everything happened with the kid, she just like froze, and everybody's like worrying about her instead of like getting to
Oh,
safety.
Yeah, the girl that
I
just
didn't-
fainted after they ran over the kid.
I didn't think that was the dirt biker guy's fault, really.
The dog's fault.
First of all,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dog was
Well-
the devil the whole time.
I was hoping that the kid would get run over instead of that dog, though.
Yeah, he kept
I was
saying
like,
that.
don't run over the dog, run over the kid instead.
Well,
But like that kid should have known better than to walk out in that track. He was old enough to know better too. So I was
Yeah,
like,
that was very telegraphed. Like, as soon as I saw the dog run out towards the dirt bikers, I was like, okay, that kid's dead as fuck.
No.
yeah, and the way it unfolds, it's like a worse Pet Cemetery. Like that's what I was feeling from
But
the whole plot.
it also, it was kind of like Pet Cemetery, but basically when the father, I forget his name, but when he took the boy to see the witch, he kind of said, can you bring him back to life? And she was like, nah, but I can get revenge on those people. And he was like, okay. And then he kind of went back on that when they actually started killing the people. So it was like, what do you want, buddy? Like,
Yeah, make up your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
guess
then-
it's exploring those emotions during that type of thing to where
Yeah.
you think you know what you want.
so it sounds like I am also shitting on this movie, but I do think the plot was pretty weak. But like I already said, I thought like some of the characters gave believable performances. Like the chemistry between the father and the boy in that first scene when they're kind of like doing breakfast and stuff, that felt like somewhat more realistic. Like they had a decent chemistry there. So like I thought those two and the douchebag character were all three pretty well done. Although I was laughing, like when the kid did get run over, there were several shots where like you could tell he was just like laying there and he was like opening his eyes, looking
He was like
around. I was
breathing
like,
too, right?
yeah, and I'm like, and then
Yeah.
are you supposed to be dead? Are you supposed to be knocked out? I don't know what's going on
Well,
here.
see,
Yeah.
he
didn't look like he got hurt that bad.
He did say before he died. He did say one last word. He's like, "Daddy," and then he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
When
truck
he
or
was
something.
holding him.
Okay.
when they were in the house.
Yeah. I like it how the dad looked at the dude when the dude tried to explain it. He's like, "I'll fucking kill you. Fucking talk to me."
Yeah. Well, I was like, oh, he got off easy for running over his son, and the dad's just like, don't
Yeah.
talk to me. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
See you later.
And I'm just thinking, like, man, it is so nice nowadays that we have cell phones. This
Yeah.
whole plot would have been avoided.
Yeah, I think the majority of the movies we watch could have been completely different with cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell phones have made it so hard for horror movies. They always have to write away cell phones somehow.
Or
It's
make
like
horror movies about cell phones.
Yeah.
Unfriended. Those are laptops. They're all using Macs. That's why they get haunted.
This basically is Unfriended right now. We're just doing video chat, and then Pennywise comes in the window. It's basically the plot.
Yeah.
Hey,
I would
wait,
like to be
where's
in a-
Pennywise right now?
He left.
Oh yeah, he's on the couch now, having some chips
Oh,
or
Probably
I missed
something.
that.
He's probably
Freaking
having
me
Jack
out,
and
man.
Coke.
He's having him a Jack and Coke, yeah.
Where is Pennywise? No, he's not having it. Anyway, so overall, I thought the plot of Pumpkinhead, it wasn't super strong. I will agree with that, but I thought some of the characters' motivations were more believable than in other like even Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Like some of those sequels, the characters are just complete archetypes, and they have no real motivation other than they are to be this archetype. So I thought they did that pretty well, and I really liked the design of Pumpkinhead, except for the tail. The tail did not need to be there. If he didn't have a tail, I would have thought his design was perfect.
I feel like they almost ripped off of Alien, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, they paused it, they had it on their little iPad, and they just
Right.
made that.
Yep, they're 1988
Makeup
iPad.
artists. Yeah. That's like, I want Alien, but pumpkin. But pumpkin, though. Yeah, pretty much like that.
But yes, since I picked this as my Halloween-themed movie, it was way less Halloween-y than even I thought it would be. It was just the character was named Pumpkinhead, but other than that, it really had nothing to do with like Halloween or like the mythology of it.
I
Yeah.
wish they would have showed him a little bit more than they did. I didn't think they showed him a
I
lot.
thought they showed the monster a lot.
Not really.
I disagree.
I did like the hands like coming up from above
Yeah,
and
that
like
was
keep pulling
pretty
people
cool.
up.
Yeah.
Wait, did
I-
any heads pop in this one? I know the other movie did, but did it try to pull somebody's head and it popped off?
No, I don't,
I don't
think
think
Okay.
so.
Okay, I'm thinking about the other one then.
Yeah. You're thinking about Halloween.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one.
But another thing I thought was funny was like first of all, the homeless guy from Wishmaster was like the old redneck that lived next door, and I loved that. He was pretty funny. But
Oh, I didn't realize that.
yeah, it was the same actor from Wishmaster. And then when the father farmer brought his son's dead body to the redneck neighbor's house to try to figure out where the witch lived, there were literally like 30 or 40 kids. Like, and I was like, is this a village of children? Like, how did this
I thought it
one
was
guy
like
have
an-
30 children?
Yeah, I thought it was like an orphanage or something. I was like,
Yeah, something was up there.
Yeah, I was watching that movie with my girlfriend, and she was saying like, I feel almost personally attacked because I think they're saying something about Appalachia or something like that.
Yeah. It was just like
was that the Pumpkinhead take place in West Virginia or something?
No, it looked like it was like in the mountains there, like
it was just like stereotypical in
all
the country.
inbred. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, see guys, if you listen to this, all we get in West Virginia is Fallout 76, Wrong Turn, and possibly Pumpkinhead.
Silent Hill as well.
And Silent Hill, which is like one of the better things, but still. West Virginia don't get shit. So we have the coolest legends and nobody makes anything about it. It's like, if somebody made a really good Mothman movie, that'd be so cool. I feel like people would eat that up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought when this movie first started and they were kind of, or when the city kids came in and then the country boy that helped him at the end was explaining like the Pumpkinhead like mythology telling his little brother Pumpkinhead was going to get him, I was really into the mythology, but then they really didn't do anything with it. Like that's my main gripe with this movie is, and kind of like with Wishmaster a little bit too. It's like I was really into the mythology, but they kind of like didn't do much with it to expand on it. More so in Pumpkinhead than Wishmaster, but it was basically just like, yeah, this pumpkin creature can be summoned to kill anyone who's wronged you, and then I think the witch says that like after Pumpkinhead kills the people, then you die, because the dad
Don't you
and
Sorry, do you turn into Pumpkinhead though afterwards? Like
No.
it seems like it's almost like a cycle thing to where it's like the next.
Well, I think well, actually, maybe because the dad had to go to the graveyard to dig up like a body,
Pumpkin.
essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Josh is right, because I think the witch did say that after Pumpkinhead kills the people you want revenge on, then you die. So maybe you kind of become like the
The pumpkin.
harbinger for the new Pumpkinhead or whatever.
You
Makes
become
sense.
the Pumpkinhead.
But yeah, again, that would be great information to like know, but we're just kind of guessing on the myth and making up our own mythology. So they did drop the ball on that a little bit, but overall, I thought it was a really fun movie. It was short, so I can kind of forgive. Like if it was like a 2.5 hour long movie and it was this slow and this kind of off the rails, I would not have it, but it was like an hour and 10 minutes, so I was like, it's a fun movie. I'll probably watch every once in a while from here on out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So, any more thoughts on Pumpkinhead? I know this one was probably pretty quick compared to other ones that we've done. So, if you guys have any more things to say? I don't really have any.
Oh, one other thing I thought was funny.
Okay.
I was just looking at my notes. Like when it's right before the end where it's the kind of teenage boy and the dog are hiding from Pumpkinhead in the house, and the teenage boy hides in the closet and the dog hides in a toy box, and it's literally there's a scene where the dog like pokes his nose out of the toy box to look around, and then like no dog is that sentient that he would poke his nose out of the toy box to see if Pumpkinhead is there.
Yeah. I like
just-
that part.
Oh
That was
yeah, and then
funny.
Pumpkinhead like bursts in. I like the expressions sometimes that Pumpkinhead had, like especially like whenever when he was about to get burned by the flamethrower, but the dude like failed so hard that he tripped on the nail and then stabbed himself with a pitchfork.
Yeah.
Like king of the idiots. Am I right? But he went to do that, and the Pumpkinhead just looked at him like, like that was funny.
Yeah, it was. This movie had. I don't know. I don't think a lot of the humor was intentional, but it definitely fell into that kind of almost so bad it's good category. But I had a really fun time watching it.
Okay. Well, you recommended it, so you get to give your ratings first, and then I'll go last, so we could do like Jake, Josh, Tosh, and then me.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's by no means like an amazing movie. It's not my new favorite movie. It's something I probably will watch maybe every couple years, but it was a fun movie, but the plot was, like everyone said, it's not really the best plot, and I just wish they had explored the mythology a little more. But the only reason I give this a slightly above average is because I thought some of the characters were written well, and I really liked the design of Pumpkinhead. So, yeah.
Okay. Josh.
My rating, I'll put it probably like a 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. But mainly just because nothing really stood out too much for me. I did like I agree with Jake with the acting was good, but and I did like how different the story is. It's not like too much of any other thing during that time. So it's kind of original, but they could have gone better with how they went through with that plot. But the comedic stuff, like the hand coming from the vertical and just keep snatching everybody up, is kind of funny. And I'm looking up in the trees and seeing them carrying people and chilling. But other than that, yeah, 4 out of 10, I think. Probably going to give it.
Oh, so you went from 5 to 4
Yeah.
halfway through your review?
I like it.
Alright, I think I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. Like we all said, a lot of plot holes, and I just feel like it was not, enough to give a movie, like, not good enough reasons for Pumpkinhead to do what he does. And
Yeah.
I mean, revenge, okay, well,
Yeah. Well, I'm not I'm not trying to like one up Tosh or anything, but I've had my rating locked in since I watched it. But I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10, and that's just because I feel like that it could have really used for some tight editing. Because I don't think that a slow movie is necessarily a bad thing. I watch a lot of slow movies. In fact, my recommendation for next month is a slow movie. But I just felt like a lot of the time within the within the movie is used poorly, like in a way where I'm not really learning new information about the characters. There's nothing intriguing going on, and I just feel like if something isn't, if you're making a movie and something isn't integral, then it should be cut. Like things should be like a lot tighter than what this movie provides. So mine is completely from the editing, I think. And I do think that the reason I don't give it like a 1 or something like that is because I liked the way that the monster itself looked. And I really feel like that there's a big potential there. Like if somebody had all the raw footage that they filmed for this and they re-edited it, I think it could end up being a 4 or 5 or even higher for me. But as is, I can only give it a 2 just because of my personal enjoyment out of it wasn't very high.
If they re-edited it, it would be a great little 10-minute short film.
Yeah.
okay.
I feel personally
Yum.
attacked by all of your reviews, but
I'm sorry. I was talking to Tosh. I was like, I hope Jake doesn't feel like all I do is rate
No,
his movies lower than
Is that the
everyone
lowest
else's.
rating you've given a movie?
I think so.
Aside from the one you recommended week 1 that we didn't record, which was like the Final Wish or something.
That was a 1 out of 10, man.
That was a 1. This one was a little
I
bit better
recommended
than
that.
that, so I gave it
Yes.
a
I think
yeah,
you were
so
just
that
like
one was a
scrolling through
1.
movies and you were like, this
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah, so it wasn't
I
as
don't even
bad.
remember
It was the in my opinion, out of all the ones that we've watched though, that was my second least favorite, so that's why I gave it a 2. So
My personal least favorite is When a Stranger Calls, still.
Yes.
I disagree. I think I gave that one the highest.
You gave
rating
that
in
like
the
a
group,
9
so.
out of 10 or something ridiculous, I think.
I know. I said if it was the short film just from the beginning, it was
Okay.
a 9 out of 10.
I think
And
you
then
still
and then I
gave
gave it like a
an
7 or an 8 because it worked for me a lot better than it did for you guys. In fact, I've been kind of wanting to watch it again, so yeah, I definitely liked it way more
You
than
can
you
watch
guys.
that solo.
Solo,
So,
Han Solo.
since we did a classic, why don't Josh go ahead and do his next?
Yeah.
So we can do a classic.
Ooh,
then a
yeah,
modern.
this is the one I'm one of the most excited to talk about. So go ahead, Josh.
So, mine was the Boys in the Trees, and so my first take is it wasn't scary at all, but it was a good story. I think I liked the story. So it's just
Plot
a good movie
summary.
in general, and so but like following through, and I knew exactly what was happening as soon as I knew the kid was dead since the beginning. Like when I thought he actually died in the skate park when he busted his head, but apparently he like died earlier with the alcohol thing in the river. But I knew what was happening, so it wasn't like, and I don't know how much the movie was trying to like surprise you because I did kind of see this kind of build up throughout. So I don't know if but it was really obvious for me because of all the ways, all those subtle hints. But I don't know. I liked the movie in general though a lot, and kind of like some of the sub stories that were going through and the I don't know, like the underlying tone through. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, you like the coming of age like sort of feel to it. It sounds like. So
Yeah.
could you give us a quick plot summary to go on top of that as well?
So, okay.
This
how we're gonna do
one's a
this.
toughie.
I know.
You don't have to look up the Wikipedia.
Just
No,
like
I'm not.
what
I'm
you
not. I'm
can.
just looking.
It can't be worse than my Hellraiser summary from last month.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Last month I went into Us, and then I just started giving my review.
It was
in
like
the
a
middle of the
5-minute
summary.
tirade.
Dude, but I had a lot of detail. Actually, listening back on it, I wasn't that upset about it. I was like, that's a
No.
lot of detail.
Yeah,
so.
it was.
Okay, so my attempt will be So the movie starts off with this group of kids kind of bullying this one kid who ends up being one of the main characters in the film. And
With his trademark red hoodie.
yeah, trademark red hoodie. And during that, there was the whole branch. So after the bullying in the beginning, there was one of the kids from the bully group went and decided to kind of help the victim throughout the movie. And kind of, I don't know, there was a dynamic in the friendship. I don't know how to explain this without using specific characters' names.
They were childhood friends, right? And so the
Yeah, the childhood friends, but this one kid got, I don't know, with a bunch of stories are similar to it, to where like you used to be friends with your childhood friend in elementary school, and then you decide to like break
cool
up,
for
or too cool. Yeah, there you go. And so after that, it's that whole struggle of, do you still talk to him, or do you kind of stay with the cool group? And it's just that whole struggle is basically the main thing with the movie, is exploring his psyche or psychology on how he's gonna act and kind of defend him, or get the strength enough to stand up for the Red Hood kid.
Do you want to be a wolf or a sheep, Josh?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no. But
I did like the undertones in this movie about the wolf analogy.
Yeah.
Like that was really, really freaking heavy-handed. But I enjoyed that. I liked the shadow effect that had the wolf. I liked it when he was walking. He had like wolf feet, and then he walks past like a pillar, and he has like regular shoes and shit.
that was one thing that I thought was kind of funny, was with the wolf analogy, and then the Red Riding Hood, like in the woods, like they're going through the woods. It was like the Little Red Riding Hood kind of story, and kind of following. But it was like Little Red Riding Hood, but the wolf starts to get to know Little Red Riding Hood and doesn't necessarily want to eat Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh yeah.
And so it kind of goes through that in a different way, kind of branches off into maybe the opposite of the traditional story and explores that.
I didn't make
One
that
parallel.
connection, but that's a good point with like the red
Interesting
hoodie and
take.
stuff.
I've seen this movie 3 times, and I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, it's really good.
But I mean, I can see that making sense. So good one. I loved this scene. First of all, this movie is really good at creating moments. So like, I loved the shot that just had the fireworks and they're like riding in there. I loved the cheesy like things with the soundtrack ramps up, and it's just trying to create that moment. Those moments where you're just like, this is so cool.
Oh, when they're when they're
it's
like
good at
riding down the
those.
street just being assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. Like I thought it was a well shot like thing, and then I liked I liked it when they were playing the Marilyn Manson song.
Oh yeah.
The beautiful people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Copyright strike immediately. I just do off tune like.
Yeah, I don't think
The Imagineers did the soundtrack.
I even liked it near the end when it looked like they were voodoo people and all their music, and just seeing the festival that they went to.
Yeah,
Your Day of the Dead.
totally
Or
Yeah,
right,
that- Well, kind of what Josh was saying earlier, like it was very clear that the kid in the red hoodie was dead. Like, they
I didn't realize until the bridge. And Tasha figured it out at the gas station. But, like, when they crossed the bridge and he said, I got something I'm going to show you later, that's when I figured it out. So I figured it out later than Josh did. I thought I figured it out early. I thought I was going to be able to come in and be like, I saw it coming. You guys did.
I
So-
think it was around the bridge when I thought that too, just because the kid was like acting. The kid in the red hoodie was acting weird and saying things that no normal kid would say. But
I'm going to teach you something.
But I thought, yes, you knew the kid was dead for like most of the second half of the movie, but I thought it was kind of a subversion because you thought it was just going to be like a Sixth Sense thing when he sees the kid's picture in the back. It's like, oh my god, he was dead the whole time.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. Rather, they kind of said, oh no, he's been dead like all afternoon. Like,
Well,
I thought it was going to say he
also-
died at some point later in the night.
Well, also what I kind of picked up, because I told Mike, it's like, I think he's been dead for a while. Like, if you notice around his eyes where the makeup is, it was getting darker as the movie progressed.
Oh, okay.
I didn't notice that.
No, I didn't either.
Because they started off with kind of white
Huh.
makeup, and then it was getting darker.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I like
Yeah.
the I guess you call it deep things with it, where like why people act the way they do and some of the like traumatizing events. So like with or that relationship between the head of the bully group, I guess it's his cousin or something like that, to where he was so adamant about like don't stray from the group and all this stuff, and
Yeah.
but then you can see him kind of forgiving and like not having such a huge offensive response after finding out about what happened, and so
Yeah.
That and then
was
the section-
interesting that
yeah.
it changed him. It changed him in the end because he saw his
Well, it's like more- yeah.
pictures of him and his friend. That was the guy that grew up with the other kid, like the main character protagonist guy, I guess. Like he, it surprised me when the bully changed his ways because it's such a generic thing for a character that is a bully like that in a movie to just be so one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's the fact that he realized in the end that he did something wrong, and he wasn't like, "Yeah, you're dead" or something like in a lot of movies.
And it almost explores that whole like when somebody's intense and like strong, almost kind of like so say if somebody's really really against homosexuality and stuff like that, and they're very aggressive with it, like they almost they're hiding it themselves in a way, and so kind of coming to terms with that. So there could be two different ways of acting rude or acting bad at all, and kind of exploring that no, just because this person's a dick, there could be some things that they're struggling with themselves in order to kind of get through.
Yeah,
And-
Go ahead.
I thought the bully had a good arc too, because I think at the beginning he says when he's talking to the girl that works at the gas station, he's like, or she's like, "Aren't you gonna move away?" And he's like, "No, I'm a god here. I got bitches to fuck and fags to bash," or whatever the hell he says.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
So
the
it's-
script for this movie is amazing.
So it like goes from that, and then
Who
like
wrote that?
as the night goes on, basically the bully's like once the main character with the camera leaves, he realizes that the other bullies are like more interested in like girls, and they're not really listening to what he says. So I think he's kind of realizing he's not like always going to be in charge, and I think that's kind of also what he's realizing as the night goes on, and why he kind of is more accepting at the end. So he kind of has like his own little arc, but he's still just a dick, and I'm sure he's always
Yeah.
going to be a dick.
Well, I'm
That's
trying
just
to.
how it be.
I don't know if I understand, or maybe I missed it during the scene when the whole, I guess, call it the rape scene when they were a kid. Like, who was involved, and like, because we were like a little confused, as saying like, was the cousin the main bully leader? Like, how was he involved? Was he just watching, and that's why he was feeling guilty, or
No, I don't.
I guess I missed the connections with
I don't
that.
think he was
really
involved.
didn't stop, but he didn't stop it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Okay.
the bully kid wasn't involved with the rape, right? It was just like
Yeah.
the protagonist and
Yeah.
the kid in the red, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So, it was just one of the kids got away and the other one didn't. And then after he was raped, like he didn't want to be his friend anymore. He was like,
Oh,
you know,
I thought
now,
the leader.
now you're not cool, or now whatever. I just thought, man, that is a dick move. But I can also like see how children might react that way, because it's like if I hang out with this person, then I'm always thinking about this traumatic event,
Yeah.
and I want to forget about it. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm above this, and I'm gonna start hanging out with the jerk heads, and
He's got to
and
be
just
a wolf.
like, that's not me.
And so
Yeah.
the main bully cousin wasn't in that, not necessarily involved in the
Not to
rape
my
thing, but
knowledge.
he was witnessing though. I thought he was
I
one
don't
of the
think
witnesses.
so. No,
I
Oh.
don't think so.
I
I think it
completely-
was they were like
I
the
think
kid.
I'm with Josh on this one.
Really?
Because that, like, with his reactions and stuff when they talk about, like, near the end, like where the cousin kind of like comes in and like gives them comfort, and like you can kind of see it in his head, like he was almost full of regret and like feeling bad about the main character in a way that he wished he could do something but he couldn't. And so it's just like, and
Yeah,
that's why I
that's-
thought maybe that way when him becoming the main leader and stuff, he was trying to be intense, but when you went against him, like he understood exactly why, too. But
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
get
I
that.
could have missed it.
I didn't get that interpretation. From what
Me neither.
what I saw, it was like the protagonist and the red hoodie kid, and then like two rapists. But I think they were just two random guys. I don't think they had any like connection to the rest of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
That's
just
what
a
I
couple,
got.
like random pedophiles, I guess.
But they were.
But still, the protagonist still didn't help him though.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Like
And
I
that's
get
the
that.
regret that he was
Yeah.
getting.
So we're talking about the bully though, the guy that was the leader of the group
The blonde kid.
later on. I wish it
Yeah,
would
the
really
cousin.
help if we knew everyone's names,
know.
but we don't.
This was not a
Nobody
movie
does.
you learn names.
Yeah. Just to pivot really quick so that we're not talking completely in circles. One thing I wanted to say is I did not understand the female's relationship to the group, the one that works at the gas station, because what really confused me is they were sitting up on like the painter's booster thingy
Yeah.
together, and then he was like, she was like, yeah, you gotta stop hanging out with these douchebags, man. You gotta grow beyond it. Well, you're better than this. And all that. She was just disappointed. And the dude climbs up there, and she, like, basically makes out with him to get his smoke. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like, she just told him to stop hanging out. And then she's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she seemed. I didn't understand what her role in the story was, because she was like very like angry with the main protagonist about like, you need to not hang out with them, but then she's like kind of making out with the main bully, so it's like she had some issues herself. But,
I mean, girls
she's
love
hanging out
assholes.
with them, too. It's like they're literally sitting there together, hanging out with him together. And it's like, no, you.
Yeah.
Maybe she's just there because he's there. She's, like, begrudgingly there.
I mean,
but then
but it
she, like,
also-
inhales his smoke.
And it explores that reality too. Like people know it's right, and so they'll say what the right thing is, but they'll give in to what they want to do too. So you kind of have
Okay.
that thing with it.
yeah.
Maybe, but the movie plays it like, yeah, he needs to listen to her. She knows what's
Yeah.
up. And then she's like,
I also thought the one of the negatives I had with the movie is I thought that the pacing was a little weird, because like I mean I like the little stories the red hoodie kid would tell throughout.
it's almost like an anthology.
Yeah, but then when
Almost.
when it was calming down and he went to have sex with the gas station girl, like
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, the movie's over, but then there's still like 30 minutes left that this whole other random act comes out of nowhere. It was like, if Disney had made this movie, it would have ended right there, but there's like a fifth act that just kind of comes out of nowhere.
This fifth act is not Imagineers approved. But yeah, no. So one thing that was in my notes that I was talking to Tosh about is I feel like the movie really slows down right after the gas station scene. Right after he goes and he sees her in the gas station afterwards. And then he goes, and I feel like that the sequence where he has sex with her could have been edited down. It really made me feel like his friend waited for him for an unrealistically long period of time. He's just like sitting out of the open window listening to his best friend have sex.
Yeah, and then they,
he's
like-
just like waiting. And then God shows up, like the black suited fellow.
that was Death.
Shows up and yeah, oh, it was Death. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
I just thought it was like God or whatever,
No.
but whatever, it's Death, same thing. This is what Imagineers actually believe. But no, I mean, so he shows up. I thought his recurring like presence in the movie was cool. How he just kept getting closer, like, "Come on, man, time to die. Come on with me." And he was like looking at him like, "I don't wanna." Like
We gotta climb higher.
and then they had that like Coco sequence almost,
Yeah.
where they go to that like
festival.
festival thing, and the guy's sort of entranced by it. Got his picture up, and I didn't get the whole like creature CGI thing though. I still haven't
No.
put that together yet. So if somebody could shed some light on that, I think it means like your inner demons or like your lost dreams, or like you were gonna do this, but instead like you made the wrong choices in life, and you're very unhappy with the choices you made before, and then you can't move
It was
on.
probably just like
Um,
like Zool and Ghostbusters. It's just like that's Death's little like dogs that comes and collects. I don't know.
come to collect. Yeah. And then the whole tree sequence. I did like how they were talking about how, like, when you're a kid, your imagination is a lot, like, you believe a lot more. So they're, like, in this tree, and they have this, like, very visceral scene. And I'm like, see, if they would have paced it to that quickly and then ended it, then that would have been fine. But it's hard to remember all the details of the last act. Even when I think back to the movie after I haven't seen it for 6 months and I revisit it, when I was watching it with Tasha, even though I've seen it 2 other times, the whole last sequence was the only part that had surprises in it for me. Because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. And I kept saying that, and then it just kept going, and I'm like, holy shit, when is he going to find him face down in the water?
Yeah.
And as soon as he sees him face down in the water in my first viewing, I just died laughing. I just thought it was the funniest shit. Like, because he just points. Like, he's just, like, so dramatic about it. He's just, like, point, and he turns around, and he's like... I thought it was, like, a comedy sequence.
I had the same reaction, like when they're at the drain pipe and he's telling the story about the little girl that went in and couldn't find her way out, and then they walk away, and then it just lingers on the pipe, and I'm like, okay, the girl's gonna come out. And that's the first time the black guy in the white suit comes out, and I'm like, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Dude, I thought that scene was pretty creepy. I didn't laugh during that one.
I laughed because I was like, that was the last thing I was expecting to come out of that drain pipe was a black guy in a white suit.
I thought the only spooky part was that part. Like, that part spooked me a little bit when they went to the pipe.
I thought the when they were at the tree at the end and the black guy is kind of like in the shadows and the kid in red sees him and says we have to climb higher. I thought that was creepy. But
yeah.
The first time that the death character or whatever came out, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, and I was under the impression, and I was wrong, with the, like, after the scene of the Day of the Dead when they see the woman and they see the kid's picture actually, like, on there, that the main, or the protagonist guy knew what was going on, and he just accepted it. So, like, I was kind of, it took me by surprise when he was, like, acting all surprised this whole time. Because, like, you gotta be pretty thick with all the signs that you've been dealing with all night. Like, I thought he was just coming to terms and he knew he was talking to the ghost, and it was just like, let's try to make this right and whatnot. But, so that was the other thing, is I took it in a very different way than I think that movie wanted me to that first time.
Yeah, I don't think that he understood, but, like,
Yeah,
I didn't get that vibe
yeah.
when I was doing it.
But there was
Yeah.
definitely like a bunch of clues throughout, like that the kid in red was dead the whole time. Like he would just disappear randomly, or he would like show up like halfway across, like a distance, a distance away that no human could travel or whatever, like in that amount.
I mean,
of
the
time.
whole picture though, like when he saw the kid's picture in the funeral, like what was he thinking in his head then at that point?
I don't know. That was
'Cause
like
remember when
yeah. That was like a weird trippy drug scene or something. It was like, I don't. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know what he was thinking in that.
Like, oh,
I think maybe
that's
he
your
was just
picture.
confused. He was just confused, and he was just like, "Let's go. I'm afraid. I'm not even going to think about this. Let's just get away from this cult."
No, because
So,
I thought the movie was just trying to signal like that in a subtle way. But I was like, you see your dude that you're talking to at a funeral, the picture's there. It's like, but nothing. But,
Okay, so we're running a little long on this
Okay.
one, so let's wrap this one up, just so that in case the audience is waiting on the next one. So Josh, you recommended this one, so we'll go Josh, Jake, me, and Tasha.
Okay.
so my rating, horror or scary, wasn't scary at all. So like basically 1 out of 10. But for the movie itself, I really liked it. So I would say an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna give it a 7. It's definitely not what I was expecting at all. It was not. I don't think it was a horror movie. It was more of like a coming of age drama to me, with some horror elements, and I thought it did that really well. Like the themes and the metaphors, just about like you're either a wolf or a sheep, or we have to climb this tree to kind of escape death, and like all that type of. Like the metaphors and the themes were really well done, but I thought the story focused too much on the metaphors and themes that it didn't actually have like a believable plot. I that's why the only reason it's not higher
Yeah.
for me. I love the themes, but it's just like basically the movie was written about like, see how cool we are. We're gonna reference wolves, and then they're gonna be running around the school, and this little kid's a sheep, and like it was a little heavy-handed. I think one of you said earlier on, so
Yeah.
that's why it's not higher
Yeah.
for me.
I agree.
So, yeah, so I see that. So you said a lot of what I was going to say. So we're really in sync on this one. I have actually also decided to give it a 7 out of 10. So everything Jake said, plus I want to add a little extra that I was thinking is one of the things that I really like about this movie is I really feel like if the last 30 minutes or 45 minutes of the movie was a little tighter, I could bump it from a 7 to an 8. But as it is, it's a 7 just because that last act does bring it down a little bit for me. But one thing I did want to add was I do feel like that this movie encapsulates like the growing up aspect of Halloween. So it is actually a very Halloween spirited movie.
Yeah.
In that where Trick or Treat covers the traditions of Halloween, this covers a lot of what it's like to have like friends during Halloween, or at least relationship, even if it's negative, like because the one kid doesn't have any friends. But it's like the relationship with others on Halloween and the way it felt to go out and trick or treat alone, like as like a between 10 and 16 ish or 15. I didn't really trick or treat at 16, so it's like. I kind of stopped at 14, so it's like between 10 and 14 in that zone where people are it's a really fun night, and that's why it's still one of my favorite holidays, because I have so many good memories of just like causing trouble and just being an asshole on Halloween. And so I see that in this movie, and it really is the only movie I've ever watched that encapsulates that feeling. And so instead of a 6, that's why I bump it up to a 7, even though like a pacing issue is a big deal to me, like it was for the last movie. I bumped it down to a 6 mentally, but then I bumped it up slightly because of the theme so perfectly encapsulates what I wanted it to. So that's what I like about a coming of age Halloween movie. And sorry my review was so long.
It's okay. I'm also going to give it about a 7 because, I just like the feel of it, but I felt like some of it could have been cut, especially after he discovers that his friend's in the lake dead. Like, I felt like we don't need to see him, like, break down. I felt like they should have just ended it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it showed him as like a photographer.
Yeah,
and shit,
I
yeah.
just felt like they could have just done away with it because we already understood that he was going to be sad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I feel you. It could have ended that shot where it just showed him dead and they were crying on the bench. That could have been the last shot of the movie, and I would have been a little bit happier with it, probably.
Or like
Yeah.
after when he's like talking to his dad and he's like, "Can we still go to the lake?" Like that would have been a cool ending too, or something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
true. I did like that moment. So, yeah.
I
forgot
felt
about
like
that.
I didn't need to know that he is like the singer and she went to Canada and it's snowing.
Yeah.
I just felt like they could just cut all
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
like one of those like movies based on real life where it tells you in the credits like what everybody's doing nowadays.
20 years later.
Josh ended up being an Imagineer.
So
Right.
one last thing. What did you guys think of the fact that it was set in 1997? It felt completely unnecessary to me. I was like, maybe the director.
I love the 90s. No,
Well,
we are on the opposite.
I was just
wavelengths.
like,
I love the time period.
No, I liked it. I was into the soundtrack and like I was into it, but I was like, it didn't need to be set here. And I was just thinking maybe that's when the director was this age and that's why he set it there. But I was like, the fact that it was set in the 90s didn't add anything to the story for me.
I
No.
don't know.
It did for me.
I could do an argument with that because it was right before the whole big digital boom age with like social media and stuff. Like everybody was hanging out in groups, like outside, like going on the skate park and terrorizing
Yeah.
people like in person. I think that would be.
Yeah.
Skateboarding's not really a thing as much as it was, and also I wouldn't like all those kids having like smartphones and shit. Nah. I gotta disagree. I
had
like
like
that it's
the,
in the
the
90s.
Stand By Me type of feel, I guess. Is
Yeah.
the best way I can kind of.
I mean, for me, it's a hit or miss. I could do with either. They can say it or not. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, was video chat like a thing in 1998? Like that last scene when he's like Skyping with his girlfriend? I'm like, was that a
I
thing?
don't think so.
That was supposed to be, I think, like a
Few
10-year
years.
almost jump.
It
Oh,
Because
okay.
he was
be
done with
after.
school. Like
That makes
he was
more
supposed
sense.
to be way older.
That was my last note. I was like, this is not accurate. this like the Skype scene at the end. I was like, what decade is this now?
I didn't even
Anyway,
think of that.
we can move on now. I just wanted
So his
to-
like little goatee didn't convince you that he was 10 years older?
Nope.
Alright, y'all ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My movie is Halloween 3 Seasons of the Witch, so I'm going to give a little insight before I give the synopsis on it. So, actually, Halloween 2 is supposed to be the end of the Michael Myers series. So, John Carpenter was going to originally kill Michael Myers completely off, and Halloween 3 was supposed to start an anthological series, which everybody threw a fit about, and so he had to bring Michael Myers back. Is why he's like, well, you shouldn't call it Halloween 3 because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
Yeah.
So that's why there's
Yeah.
only one of these. But the synopsis on this movie is there is this Halloween mask store company called Silver Shamrock. They make 3 Halloween masks, a pumpkin, skeleton, and a witch. So basically, this old man I think he sells them or he buys them, and he's starting to get the inside of what's going on. So the Mr. Cochran gets his fellow employees to kill him. So his daughter and the doctor tries to figure out what's going on with what happened to her father and all this, and discover what's going on with these masks. So Mr. Cochran, he puts this little silver shamrock in the mask, and it's like a metal chip. So when you watch this Halloween commercial on Halloween night, they kill you, and bugs and spiders and snakes all come out of this mask. So, which I also like the jingle, so I probably would have been killed.
I freaking
Oh my
love
goodness.
the jingle.
I hated that jingle.
It's-
God.
Is it
At
still
the end
stuck
of the
in your
movie,
head?
'cause it was like every 5 minutes.
Shamrock.
I love it.
Oh,
It's so like the more days part is like the most annoying. It's like 2 more days to Halloween. It's like so auto-tune sounding.
Yeah, but they have to make it kind of kid-friendly. So
Oh
it's
no, yeah, that
the
would have been a
more-
great commercial.
The
honestly.
more annoying it is, the more
Yeah.
it'll
I mean, they
attract the
did do a good
children.
job.
True.
They made the audience feel like the same feeling that the main characters were feeling too. Like the one dude, like when I think it was like after he was sleeping with whatever her name is, and like
The
the thing keeps
daughter,
coming
yeah.
up. Yeah. It was like I was groaning with them when I heard it. I was like, ah.
It was funny, like the kids, like the doctor's kids, you saw them dancing in front of the TV during the jingle, and all the adults in the movie
Yeah.
would hear the jingle and be like, ugh. Like, that's realistic.
Well, that's like, when the doctor was at the bar and, a Halloween cartoon came on, he asked them to change it. So he changed it to Halloween, the original movie. He's like, oh my gosh. And then changed it again, and then the Silver Shamrock commercial came on, and it's like,
Yeah,
you don't have any Halloween spirit?
the little Halloween original movie cameo was the only thing in the movie I kind of groaned at. But I given your like caveat at the beginning, I understand why they did that. It's like, yeah, this is still in the Halloween franchise. We got to throw Michael Myers in for a hot second, but
Yeah, but the fans threw a fit, so that's why Michael Myers got resurrected in Halloween 4.
Yeah. So I had no idea like any of that. So like I was coming in like, am I watching the right movie? Like.
you
Yeah.
were just like, when is Michael
Tasha.
Myers gonna get
And
here?
so, like, after
Tasha
that,
told me
that ruined the
afterwards.
movie for me, I think. After that initial thought, like, I shut down. I was just like, this is bullshit. Like, are they
Yeah,
trying to
'cause-
show that, like, Michael Myers, because he was, like, robot-like, maybe they're trying to explain why he's so, like, persistent? Because, like, maybe...
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I haven't, because I'm not a huge Halloween fan. I don't know how many of the movies I've actually watched, so I just know the basic gist, and, like, that movie didn't fit any of that at all.
Yeah. It's supposed to have started its own anthological horror, but they kind of messed up by calling it Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I think if they had not done Halloween 2, and this had been like Halloween 2, I
Yeah.
think they could have done it, and we could
Yeah.
have
They
gotten
could've
so
worked
much
with it,
more,
yeah.
so many more movies like this, which
Yeah, and, like, different approaches and whatnot.
I,
Yeah.
I'll say right now, this is the best Halloween sequel. Other than the original, this is the best Halloween movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is the only other one that I've seen except for the original, so Same for me.
You've seen 2, but
Oh, I have?
yeah.
Okay.
You
She
know,
knows.
honestly, as you know, growing up, I didn't really like 3, but now rewatching it, it's starting to grow on me more.
Yeah,
I watched it as soon as I opened my eyes this morning. My alarm clock rang and I rolled over and put on Flex. I was like, gotta get it done.
One of my favorite effects that movie did was the freaking heads just popping off. Like people's heads actually do that, where you just like a baby doll.
yeah, I
They
thought
kept doing that
Dude,
throughout.
I didn't see the robot twist coming until like right up into it. I did not. I was like, these guys are ruthless. Especially the guy that just burned himself to death in that car. I was like, oh, God.
Oh yeah, that was funny. He just has no expression, and he just douses himself in gasoline.
Yeah. I was like, that's what I want to do at work every day.
And I like the scene with the
Just,
the lady and the
Just
chip
kidding.
and the chip, like the laser thing, and like what her face looked like afterwards.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
was pretty
it-
cool. That was a
Yeah,
good
the-
one.
Like blew her face half off.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
oh,
the
yeah, she's like,
let's talk about the effects, because I thought they were awesome.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
practical effects were great.
Especially-
Almost Hellraiser level.
Yeah, my favorite
Yeah.
was the old man that died at the beginning in the hospital when he like put his fingers in his eyes and
Oh,
like
yeah.
ripped his nose
Oh yes.
out. Like that was brutal. Like that was worse than
Yeah.
anything in the first 2 Halloween movies.
I was like, ow.
I liked it also at the end when he took, like at the end when the whole like company like destroyed everything, got like electrocuted and with the
Yeah.
Oh, with the ring.
Oh, why
I
not?
didn't
Yeah, with
get
the
the
shamrock.
ring and the rock combining and just blasting the guy and like obliterating him. I was like, what the fuck? You're dead. But I guess like that jingle was made to activate that rock in some way. So then like it playing in the room with them, I guess like activated the whole thing instead of just the chunks of it that they use on the masks.
Yeah. I don't know.
A way to treat your best salesman who like pulls in his best salesman and then he like kills him.
Yeah,
I'm like, that guy seems like a really nice dude, and I could see that guy being a business owner. He came
But-
across as a business owner.
I thought the same thing, but then I was like, if like the head of Silver Shamrock, I guess, is like a witch, and that's where the title comes from. So I guess in his mind, like this is it. Like all the kids in America are going to be dead after this year, so he doesn't give a shit if that guy sells any more masks. I feel like that's why he killed him.
Yeah, maybe you should have been grateful for him helping him with the plan.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
I mean, yeah.
Have y'all noticed like the masks that wasn't fully processed? They were a brighter orange than the ones that were completely done.
Yeah,
Because the mask he gave the little boy was like a darker orange.
yeah. I think
Orange.
I watched a documentary on this like a year or so ago. I think they said that that scene was actually filmed in the factory where they made the masks for the movie. So they probably were unfinished masks that they were filming. That's probably why.
That's awesome.
I thought it was so cool when you got to see unpainted latex masks. It made me want to get one like that and paint it myself. I would love to do that, and I'm sure Josh would too, because he's an actual good painter. But I'd love to do it just as an amateur painter, because I like
That would
I
be
like to
fun.
paint, even though I suck at it,
That would be fun.
especially in VR, 3D.
Yeah. No, to be honest, I probably need to rewatch that movie because I fell hard, especially when like there was nothing. Like I kept focusing on like where the hell is Michael? Like I don't.
Yeah.
Like what does this have to do with Michael? Like
So you had
I
the
was getting
same
agitated.
you had the
Yeah,
same
I was just
reaction
like
of
those people
everyone.
back- Absolutely, yeah.
At the time. Yeah, Josh is emulating like the reaction of when it came out to the box office.
And then the head popping too. Like people's heads don't just come off. You can't just grab a person's head and like make it pop off like that too. So like, I mean, it was like those type of
What
things.
if
It
you're
was like
strong enough?
I was rolling my eyes hard.
What if you're strong enough?
You could get Shorty.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Killer Clown.
You don't remember in Killer Clowns when he like knocked his block off?
Oh yeah.
What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?
But
Yeah.
one other thing, or just a couple weird things that kind of took me out of the movie. I loved the storyline. I thought the pacing overall was pretty good, but some of the things I don't remember the doctor's name. I think Tom Atkins is the actor.
Yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about the doctor. Yeah.
I
Let's talk about
thought
him.
like at the beginning when he's at the hospital, there's that black nurse, or no, I don't know if it was the black nurse, but there was one of the nurses. He like smacked her ass and said he was gonna take her to dinner, and he basically
Yeah.
he's like having sex with every woman in this hospital basically. So he's a piece of shit. But
I was like, this man is amazing.
Yeah, he smacked the
I
black
had the
girl.
opposite reaction. I thought it was funny as fuck.
He smacked the black girl's ass. Then the chick that does like the analyzation of the car parts, he's taking her to dinner, and then he's sleeping with the old man's daughter.
Yeah.
So he's got like 3 women on the side here.
Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, let's go to a motel so we can talk in private. And I'm like, what? I did not see this one coming. And so they go in the motel, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna pretend like this isn't weird. They're gonna sleep in the same bed, but they're not gonna fool around.
No, they
you know,
just
'cause
fuck
they got
right
a job
away.
to do, and they're just like, let's go. And like this man must be really good at reading other people, because he just asks like, oh, I'll sleep in my car, and she's like, it's fine, and then he just like kisses her, and I'm like, I don't know if that was an invitation, but I guess he can read people
just gotta
better
go
than
for
I
it.
can.
didn't she come out of the shower and she was like just in her towel or something too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he was
that's
like, well, if she's doing that, she must want the
Well,
D.
that's like, they do act like they're honeymooners because they did it more than just once. Because one time she was like in a lingerie, and then some other times I was like, well, you're selling the part of being married, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, I thought, okay, when he was talking to that woman at the beginning of the movie with the children, was that not his wife? That was his ex-wife?
That was his ex-wife.
That was oh god, okay. Because sometimes I could hear what she was saying on the phone, and it didn't match up with what he was saying in response to it.
Well, because
She just sounded like the biggest nagger
You
ever.
could tell that it was his ex-wife because he was making promises to his kids that he couldn't keep, like, oh, I can't come see him today, or I'll be there to take him trick-or-treating. And
Well, he's a doctor. Sorry. I bet they get free college too.
It was
Oh
also
man, so abusive.
I did think that like the kind of ex-wife, ex-husband relationship was pretty believable because like the doctor walks in and is like, I got you kids some like masks or something, and then the mom's like, I already bought them masks.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they're
okay.
like they're like 10 times better than the one he brought.
Yeah,
and-
so it's
Yeah.
like that. I mean, I don't have an ex-wife that I know of, but I assume it would be similarly competitive.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, my parents have accidentally got me the same gift, so that was pretty believable.
But
My divorced parents.
overall, I thought
Hey, Mom. Okay, sorry.
overall, I thought the movie was really good. I think Tasha and I are probably in the same boat on this one, since I was gonna recommend this one if Tasha didn't.
Yep.
I just thought there was some weird like campy stuff in the movie that didn't really make sense to me, like when the doctor is walking back and the homeless guy just pops out and says, "Hey, can I drink some of your whiskey?" And he's like, "Okay, sure."
It's like, I have no
homeless guy.
diseases.
I-
And didn't he say,
But the
like,
homeless guy said, I swear I don't have any diseases.
Yep.
I was like, enough for me.
this comes out
He's
of
a
the
doctor,
alley.
too.
From,
You
No
from a
diseases,
doctor is
take a
just like,
drink.
"Oh, okay, I will trust you, homeless man."
Well, okay, so but he didn't take it from the homeless man and drink it himself, so maybe he just gave it to him because he's like, I'm made of money. Here you go. I'll go get my other one that's in my trunk. I'll just go back to the Circle K and get some more.
But yeah, I thought like little things like that, but it wasn't enough to fully take me out of the movie. I just kind of chalked that up to like the time this movie was made. Like some of the acting wasn't fully like up to today's standards, but overall, I love this movie. I don't know what
Yeah,
about you
Yeah.
I do
guys.
too.
What's the
I thought
rating?
the acting was pretty good.
What are you rating it?
Are we
Oh,
are we
so
doing
we're-
ratings? Are we?
Oh, I
done?
thought you were doing the rating.
No,
doing
this
your
is
rating.
Tasha's train. I'm just
Oh, okay.
hijacking it.
Yeah.
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 I would just make sure everybody was finished before.
Yeah, I mean, man, one of the things that I like about this one is a lot of movies from the time are paced slowly, and so is this one. But I love this one, even if it is, because it feels like it's using its time wisely. Like, I do feel like that there's this like hint of this guy like wanting. I think the reason he has this sort of like womanizing relationship with all these people is because he's unsatisfied with his own like love life, and he feels like he needs to do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that there's a hidden meaning there that I'm not fully getting, but I still appreciate that it's there.
Anything else?
No, just
I'm good. I shut down. I told you.
Okay, Jake.
just that the kid being killed, like that scene, like with the mask melting and all the bugs and snakes,
Yeah.
that was amazing. That's the best scene in the
Yeah.
whole movie for me.
I like how it didn't matter in the end that he burned down the factory because the commercial still aired and everyone died.
Well, no, like I
was
thought
good.
that was a cool cliffhanger because it's like maybe it did get pulled at like the absolute last second. I thought that was like a nice spot to cut it.
Yep. It was
Yeah.
good.
I love endings that aren't fully satisfying, like when they don't tie everything up in a pretty bow. I've said that a few times in the podcast, but I always like it when they're like F you at the very end of a movie. So,
Yeah.
So are we ready for ratings?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tasha recommended this one. She'll go first, and so it'll be Tosh, me, Jake, Josh. I'll give Josh the last word since he's the sleepy boy.
Alright, I'm going to probably give this one an 8, actually, because I actually really enjoy it. The only problem I have is still the bug issues. They give me the creepy crawlies. I hate bugs. But I love the jingle. I love the mask. I just love everything, pretty much.
I was really teetering between a 6 and a 7 on this one. I think I'm going to tentatively give it a 6 for now. I really like it. I think it's better than your average movie, but it's not, like, I don't love it. I'll get through it and I'm like, man, I'm going to think about this for a long time, or, like, everything was above average across the board. Everything was a 6 out of 10. There wasn't, in my opinion, there wasn't, like, any elements that I felt like were a 10 out of 10 that would pull it up to a 7 or 8. Or anything. Like the cinematography is pretty good. You got the John Carpenter stuff, so you have the wide angles and the and all that stuff. I really enjoyed that, but it was kind of expected going in when I saw those intro credits. Although the intro credits at the beginning are very long, I still watched them all because I liked it. I liked the lines and all that stuff.
I did
But
too.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So I liked the ending. I liked the plot. The robots surprised me. I like how campy sort of the villain was at the end when he just slowly collapsed.
Yes.
Like, you got me. I loved that. I don't want to forget to say anything, but yeah, I think I'm good. 6 out of 10.
Okay. Jake?
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Like I said, it's my favorite Halloween sequel, right in front of Resurrection. Everyone hates that movie, but I will go on record that is the most fun Michael Myers sequel. So please let me know in the comments how wrong I am. But for Halloween 3, it's a really fun movie. It's kind of like Killer Clowns. It's another one of those ones I appreciate more and more every time I watch it. But like the doctor character is like, he's kind of up and down because he's kind of like a piece of shit, but he's also like an action hero. So it's like,
I love that he's a piece of shit.
it's similar to like Ash from Evil Dead, like that type of character, I guess, but not as stupid. But there's some things in the movie that just don't work for me, like how Cochran just he literally explains his entire plan to the doctor for no reason because he's just about to kill him anyway. And then I just thought they could have explored the mythology of like why he's doing this a little more. So that's my only thing of why it's not higher, but overall I really enjoy this movie. Joshua.
Josh?
So I'm on the complete opposite, but because I'm taking it as basically like everybody did initially at that time, which is I'm considering it to be part of the Halloween series and thinking of it as that. So my rating's going to be like 2 or 3 out of 10. Because nothing made, man, this is 2 or 3 out of 10 until I watch it again, because I do need to watch it again. I miss a lot but that whole initial just trying to figure out and focusing on like why does this have anything to do with Michael Myers? Like this Halloween 3, I know there's a 4, 5, 6. Like I know there's ones afterwards. Like what is with this movie that why this is considered to be in the series? So like thinking of it that way, it's like a 2 out of 10 because it just completely wasn't related to anything. And so
Okay.
so after that, but for the movie itself, I would need to watch again to attach to the plot. But
Okay.
I did like the some of the campy effects, like always. But
Yeah.
and that damn music, I can't.
Love it.
2 more days to Halloween. I kind of want to edit that somewhere in the podcast.
Halloween.
Yeah, just put it
I
at
don't know where
at the
it'll fit.
end, but like up at like a half step, so you don't get copyright claimed.
Yeah.
I feel like you could not play the whole jingle and like play like a couple seconds and be okay. But
I don't know, man.
Fair
YouTube's
use.
cracking down on copyright.
that's fair use, bro. All right, so the next one's me. So I know you guys don't like my voice, so I'm gonna try to make this one quick.
Did somebody say that they didn't like your voice in the comments?
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, really?
I probably
I was
have
just
the worst
kidding.
voice in the. No, I was just kidding too. Nobody comments.
That's
on
mean.
our
Like the one
podcast.
comment we ever get, like, I hate your voice, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I hope someone says that because my voice is quite annoying.
But anyways.
all right. So my movie was Trick or Treat.
Hold up. I'm gonna let you finish. You had a nice point there. But it's Jake again. I wanted to tell you about our other sponsor this month. We got a new educational book series called Halloween for Wankers. Are you always forgetting the rules of Halloween and getting accosted by a short pumpkin demon with a lollipop? This guidebook breaks down all of the rules of this sacred holiday so you can still have fun without being devoured by werewolves, zombies, or homicidal nerds going through a midlife crisis. The new edition even includes some couples costume ideas, including being the ass end of a horse. It starts with a foreword by Charlie Brown, the asshole, available exclusively at Sam's Club.
It is one of my favorite movies, period. Even though it's it's a Halloween movie. So to skip the review and just go right into the plot, I'll talk review afterwards. It's an anthology piece. The theme of the movie is mostly Halloween tradition. So it's based on a graphic novel, and it is a character, Little Sam. He patrols the neighborhood, he patrols the area, and makes sure everybody is following their tradition, their Halloween tradition. Whether that's werewolves doing a ritual every year, or a principal killing a kid every year, it's like everybody's got to follow what they do every year, just sort of do the same thing every year. And in that way, as the movie progresses, you find out that it's an anthology and that all the stories are interconnected. So it starts out with a very short story of a woman who gets stabbed in the face with a lollipop, and then she's dead because she was blowing out the jack-o'-lantern. She was taking things down, so she was violating that old tradition that says you don't take the decorations down until after Halloween, after the next morning. And then directly afterwards, you have a few other stories that sort of cut between. So you have the story where the kids are... This one's my favorite personally, but I'm not going to go into the review yet. You have the kids that are going down to get to the special needs kids bus that was crashed in intentionally by a bus driver through bribery. So that's sort of the plot of that one. And then they're going over to the lake and they're disturbing those bodies, those spirits with jack-o'-lanterns. You have that plot, but you also have these really hot chicks that are trying to pick up some dudes so they can take them in the forest and kill them because they're actually werewolves. So you have
Spoiler.
that one. That one is slightly less interwoven than the rest of them, but there's some nods. There's some sound effects that are heard, and there's some nods around. They run into people with their car. That one's definitely kind of a little bit more detached. And then I'm almost done. So you have Stephen Wilkins. His story is he kills a kid every year. He buries them in the backyard, and he does this garden type of situation back there. And then he ends up going to the festival and being a part of the werewolf story. And then finally you have the old man. forget his name to be honest, but he's
Lou
the neighbor of
Krieg
Stephen
or
Wilkins.
something like that.
Krieg.
Yeah, Lou Krieg. Yeah, so he's the neighbor of Stephen Wilkins. It turns out he was the bus driver from the beginning, and so he's visited by Little Sam, but he's refusing to give people candy. So that's where he sort of breaks the rules. He gets lucky towards the end of his story because he's stabbed, and then Little Sam interprets that as, hey, he's giving me candy. So now he's following the tradition, so I'm fine. And so you think he's gotten away. That guy, by the way, gives the best performance in the movie, but I'm not going to go into that yet. He goes away, and then at the end of the movie, he gets the medical care he needs. And then he comes home and he basically dies. So somehow he goes to the hospital on Halloween, gets back home on Halloween, and then is still there for the kids to kill. That's one of the things that was unclear to me. I guess it was earlier in the night when that happened to him, so it was like it didn't seem to me like a same day job on the medical care, but that's okay.
Yeah,
and then yeah, and so. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole plot. I don't think I really wanted to nail this one, so I don't think I missed any details that are really important. Aside from maybe part of the werewolf story was the Little Red Riding Hood was her first her first year, and so she's played as she's the shy character, but she's actually this badass werewolf. One of my favorite sequences, I'm going to go slightly to the review and then I'll let you guys speak. I'm very sorry. One of my favorite sequences of the movie is when it's playing the song and they're turning into werewolves. I love the practical effects. It's got those nice shots and stuff, and I'm very much a fan of that sequence. So, all right, you guys talk now. I've been talking for about 5 minutes straight. So,
Well, I'll just interject. I took it when at Mr. Krieg at the end. I took it that he did his own first aid, and that's why he was able to keep trick-or-treating. That's what but
Yeah.
that's
okay.
that's
Because
how I
those were
took.
home bandages. Those were home bandages. They weren't a cast.
Wow, so he didn't seek out medical care. I've watched this movie a million times and I've never thought of it that way, but sure.
What I don't want to jump right into the negatives, but in case I don't bring it up again,
Go ahead.
when they're talking about the story of the bus driver, they're like, he was never heard from again. But kids are running up to his house going, "Hey, Mr. Krieg, thanks for the candy." It's like, well, if you've never been heard from again, why are you everyone knows who you are, buddy? So that's a big plot hole for me personally. But it's not.
I think what it means is that he doesn't leave his house. So it's like he was never heard from again. In that, he's one of those people you don't want your ball to accidentally roll in his yard. Because he's the guy that never leaves his house. I assume that he's set for life because they paid him so much to crash the bus in there, and then he just doesn't leave his house.
He's not a huge part of the community anymore.
Yeah. And
but
how fucked up is it that 8 parents were all like, "Oh yeah, fuck that kid, kill him, please."
yeah, no, they're dirty little secrets. Didn't you hear?
But also when you was talking about Mr. Wilkins, you forgot to mention that for him to always check the candy because that's how he killed.
Oh yeah, I guess he does say that iconic line. This movie is really good at setting up moments. It does setup and payoff, and payoff. It's they have a cheesy line for everything. They have the my what big eyes you have before the chick eats them, and they have don't forget to check your candy, and they have all these things that are just letting you know this is what this specific story is about, and I liked that.
Yeah,
and I love a good anthology. This is probably the best anthology that I've ever seen. The fact that they're all so perfectly, seamlessly woven together, and that you get to see a story from another perspective. You see the Stephen Wilkins, and then you see his neighbor go through the same thing, and you're oh, so that's what was happening over there during that, and it just makes you feel it's so smart. You're oh my god, that's about awesome.
Yeah,
Can't we all agree that?
Sorry,
Oh,
gotcha. Good.
Can't we all agree that Charlie Brown is an asshole here?
Yeah, duh.
That's the best line in the movie. I love it when that kid's Charlie Brown's an asshole.
What were you going to say, Josh?
I liked the whole, because everything came together kind of near that last quarter of the movie where werewolves were popping up. Everything was kind of normal until that bonfire scene where shit just went down, and it kind of reminded me of the movie Cabin in the Woods when like just everything chaos just happened at the end. So
Yeah.
trying to like
Yeah.
connect all the other stories and stuff, I kind of like that. Like they made
Yeah.
a decent attempt to wrap everything to where there was kind of like, so there's a good kind of thing there going, and I liked the interwovenness and how it all came together at the end. Just those twists.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about a well done anthology movie is it doesn't feel like it has a real 3-act structure to me. It just feels like you just hear a bunch of stories and they're all edited together, yet it still works.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is Mr. Wilkins' son, where he's dressed up at the end.
Oh yeah, and it's symbolic that he's becoming his father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Did you guys notice that? Like
Yeah.
when the kid is passing out candy in the end, he's dressed like his dad.
Yeah, I thought. I also think this is one of the better anthology movies, like especially like the horror anthology type movies, like
Yeah.
Creepshow or Tales from the Crypt or whatever. But I liked how in this one, I like how they interwove the stories, because I've seen this movie several times by this point, so I'm trying to think back to the first time I watched it. I did not see the werewolf thing coming, like Josh said, so I thought that was the fact that they kind of interwove the stories, and like when you saw that it was Mr. Wilkins that was like the vampire guy, you were like, oh, she's about to get fucked up, but then no, she is the one killing him. So it was like that, like you wouldn't have had that kind of twist. You wouldn't have had that twist and payoff if you hadn't seen the Wilkins story
Yeah.
earlier. So I thought the stories were interwoven, and they all did, the way it was edited, they all perfectly played off each other, because you had just enough information from like this story to know what to like connect to this story, and kind of how the first story, there's basically that shot at the end of the first story where it's like Rhonda's walking across with her wagon, and then you see the car almost hit her, which you find out at the last shot that it's the werewolf girls, and then she's walking across to Krieg's house. So it's like that shot's a perfect bookend to like kind of show how all the things are happening at once. I thought that's my favorite
like
part.
That's like also the werewolves, when they just get the Halloween costumes, they bumped into the couple that's dressed up like robots.
Yeah.
Which they were at the festival. So because not most of the anthologicals like Creepshow, they don't intertwine at all.
No,
they just
going off of the couple, like the first story, that one was the funniest to me, because first of all, like the woman's like, we got to take this shit down. It's like, all right, you just said you were both drunk. It's like 2 a.m. on Halloween. Why are you gonna undecorate right now?
Like, wouldn't it be preferable? And she's like, yeah, and she established that the parents aren't coming till like 4 or 5 the next day, and she's like, yeah, you're just gonna play video games all day and not cleaning it up. And I'm like, so the solution is to clean it up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, it's like,
well,
you
no,
can't.
She said her mom was coming in the morning.
But
I thought she said my mom's coming tomorrow and you're gonna get up and play video games all day and not clean it up.
The funniest part in the whole movie for me was when the husband, like, he's real horny and he goes inside and he's like, he pulls that porno out and he had that shit on like speed dial. It was like right next to the VCR.
Yeah.
Like he was.
You tell there's no children in that house. They just have it right there.
And he just like falls asleep to a porno in the background.
Yeah, he's like, this is my nighttime podcast.
This is my white noise.
And I get the impression that it's a homemade sex video because it's her voice. You know,
oh, is it?
It edits the screaming together of the screaming of her having sex with the screaming of her outside. So that's what I assumed, that it was a home video of them having sex. So he's like watching himself have sex with her, and then like the outside. I don't know. That could be inaccurate though. So if you're listening to this, like that's my interpretation of that moment.
It did look like the tape was a recorded tape because I had it written on the Scotch tape. It
Right.
wasn't like
nature
an
video
imprint.
or
Yeah,
Nature special.
or something like that.
that was a
nature
good
special.
joke.
Yeah. And see, this movie, like, the comedy is in just the right spots, and it's got suspense when it wants to be suspenseful. It's funny when it wants to be funny. One of the weak points of it the one thing that I like, because I only have one flaw with it, and that is a few of the child actors don't convince me in this one, like in the kid's story, especially the little Justin Bieber kid. I don't know why. I just felt like that the older guy in the group was the worst actor in the whole movie by far. But at the same time, you had Craig, and he killed it. I believed that he had glass in his hands when he was doing the thing with the door, and I was like, all right, you're like giving a walking Phoenix level performance over here, my dude. Not that good, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, one other kind of plot hole I noticed this time was in the Wilkins story with the kid that he kills with the candy. Basically he kills the kid, and then that kid keeps coming back to life, like when he's trying to bury him and he has to like cut off his fingers with the shovel to keep him quiet. But then it basically cuts from that, and then he meets his son down in the basement, and then all of a sudden that kid's head is on a pedestal in the basement. It's like, how the fuck did that happen? Like,
Yeah, that got me too.
was the kid headless and then somehow came back to life? And then
Yeah, watching that for the millionth time, I don't know why he's hiding the knife if the kid knows what's going on anyway.
I caught something when he was cutting the finger and stuff. That was a different hand because you could see on the sleeve it was a clown costume.
oh yeah, you're right. You're
It
right.
was a totally different kid that he was cutting the arm and stuff.
What?
You are right.
I've seen this movie a million times and I've never realized
I
that.
picked it up on the
I'm a
night
freaking idiot.
when I just
No.
recently viewed
Okay.
it.
Looks like I
saw
crashed
it.
into the river.
All right, this movie just
I'm an
went up
idiot.
1 point for me, Ben.
All right, Tasha, good job. I want everybody giving this one a 10 out of 10. Anything less is
No,
is
that is
unacceptable.
perfect because you're absolutely right, and I did not notice that until you said something.
Yeah, I saw when we just recently watched it. So.
I like how quickly the Stephen Wilkins collects himself after, because when they knock on the door and he answers it and he's like, what? And they're like all screaming and he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, great costume. And then like 10 or 20 seconds later, he's fine enough to just mess with them. He's like, happy Halloween. And he shuts the door and I'm like 10 seconds ago you were like, what? But that was quick.
No, I liked the. Give it a really big rating, just based off of you can rewatch this movie over and over and over again. You always find something else there.
So, before we get to ratings,
Yeah,
what was you guys' favorite story within the anthology? Because everybody's got their favorite, and that's okay if you're wrong. But go ahead and say which one.
The special needs one is my favorite.
Cool.
Yeah, the kids in the quarry is definitely my favorite in terms of like scare, but
Yeah.
Down the elevator we go. type of
I like
situation.
the werewolf one because it had the biggest twist.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
same as the werewolf, because that's where like my mind started racing, and so I was missing all the other details afterwards. I'm like, wait, what the hell is going on here? Like trying to hold on.
Yeah. Did you guys like it when Rhonda like left them all down there for scaring her and breaking her glasses?
Yeah, I was
Yep.
like,
And
good
she,
on
like,
you, girl.
cheesily waved at them.
You go, girl.
The only
They deserve to die for scaring her. I don't know about that.
Well, that was
The
one.
only-
Go ahead, Tasha. Sorry.
no, go ahead. I'll let you finish because mine's on a different
Well,
segment. So go ahead.
one of the for me, the only real quote horror in this movie was the quarry scene with the kids.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, in terms of like creep
Really?
and uneasy factor, like the shot of Rhonda like coming up the elevator and she's just walking towards the camera and you can hear the other kids being like brutally ripped apart in the background. That was pretty eerie. But
Yeah.
I love that because it's like that's all sound. It's like they didn't even have to like do this expensive scene with practical effects, and it sells it even better that you don't see anything because you just imagine the worst possible like thing in your head, and so I think it works so well. They saved money and it works better.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest success with a lot of the horror movies I've noticed is letting it go to your imagination. Like movies
Yeah.
that do that, to where it's like the sound and you can just hear everything, but you can't see it. You put your worst image in your head, in your own head. Those
Yeah,
have been
I
the
just
best
didn't
ones I've
know-
seen.
Right. I just didn't understand what this movie was doing with that one as far as tradition. after all these times watching it because I don't get the impression that they do that every year. But yet Sam is still there, like checking on them to make sure that they're doing their due diligence for tradition.
Are you talking about the kids in the quarry?
Yeah, Kids in the Quarry. So Rhonda rides back up the elevator. She walks away. You hear him ripped apart, and Sam's there, like he's checking on this.
I took it as because like the bitchy blonde girl, she kicks the jack-o'-lantern into the lake and like extinguishes it, and Rhonda says earlier like take this. She says to the little chunk from the Goonies kid, she's like take this jack-o'-lantern with you. The light will keep you safe. So I think it's that tradition of like keeping the jack-o'-lanterns lit until after midnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, it attracted little Sam, who's like, "Oh, you guys turned off the jack-o'-lanterns." And then he was like, he got there and he's like, "Oh, my job's done."
But like to your point,
these kids down here did it.
To your point, Mike, like Sam should be kind of cheering on the douchey kids because it's like, all right, you're playing a trick on Rhonda and you're scaring her. That's Halloween. So yeah,
right.
I can see where you're coming from.
I'm thinking that they're not really breaking the rules. Yes, okay, thank you.
I see where you're coming from.
Because all the other ones fit in with that theme, but that's still my favorite one. So like, it's the one that fits in the least with the theme, but like, I would never want that sequence to be cut. Like, screw you if you want to cut that sequence.
So what I was going to say, the only negative I have, when the werewolves are slowly starting to turn into werewolves, like they're dancing and still, I feel like their makeup and everything, they kind of look more like vampires until they fully transform.
That's what I thought too. I thought they were vampires at first.
Yeah, until they fully transform, I thought they were too. So I kind of have issue with that because, werewolves and vampires don't like each other.
I like the hot dog guy.
Oh yeah,
the hot dog guy that's there in the background.
Yeah.
They're just rolling him into frame.
Really detailed bear.
Yeah,
the guy that's in the detailed bear
the werewolves
costume.
reminded me of what's that scary movie that's out in the West about the vampires that take over a bar? What's his name?
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes. Yeah. So when the vampires go and switch during that, like the werewolves kind of look like that. And that's why I kind of went down that.
That's the only negative I really have because like I said, werewolves and vampires don't get along, so they shouldn't look like each other.
I did think the transformation scene, like once you realize they were werewolves, I thought that was kind of unique to this movie because like when they transformed, like usually in the werewolf transformations, it's just like the body grows hair and like skin.
Yeah.
They literally ripped off their skin like it was a costume. Like that's not something you usually see with werewolves. I thought that was unique.
That's like that one was
that was so cool.
The one was taking her nail down her back. It looked like she was like unzipping a zipper from like a costume.
Yeah, that was neat. And there was blood there for some reason, and I was like, what do you need blood for?
Yeah, that seems painful, girl. Get it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that I loved that, and then like when she ripped it off of her like stomach and it had like the hair and the fur under it, I was like, man, somebody worked really hard on this sequence.
Oh, yeah.
And I could tell that's when they used the song that was the biggest budget in the movie, the Sweet Dreams song. So that scene probably was the most expensive scene, I would say, in the movie. And it shows, but it's really nice. It's still my second favorite, but I still like it a lot.
Yeah.
When you guys first saw this, did you feel a lot of suspense during the final sequence with Craig?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So it wasn't scary, it was just suspenseful for you? Because I was very suspenseful the first time I saw this movie during that part.
Yeah.
I didn't personally because I have never thought Sam was like scary or like menacing. I've always like every time I see Sam I'm like, "Aw, look at him."
Yeah.
So it's
Look at
I
him,
didn't
just
feel
help
like
him with Halloween.
I enjoyed the last scene a lot or the last segment a lot, but I never felt like suspense or like, oh my gosh, is he gonna kill Krieg? Or like I never thought he was actually gonna kill him the whole time.
Yeah.
The movie did lead you to believe that, but I didn't believe it because Sam's not menacing to me personally.
Oh, I feel like some of the scarier movies are the most innocent freaking people. Like, I'm terrified of, like, if I have a daughter or something like that, and she has, like, long black hair, and, like, I'm sleeping and I wake up, she's in the middle of the freaking hallway, like, I might have a heart attack. Like,
You have a daughter with black hair?
The kids'
I'm with
music in the
Josh on this
background.
one.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like talking about The Ring.
Well,
yeah, I
between
got it.
The
I got
Ring-
you. I got you.
The
I
Ring
know
or
what
The
you're talking
Grudge,
about.
because they both did that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you want to go ahead and do ratings or anything else?
I don't know. I do have a lot more to say,
No.
but I won't go until infinity.
Oh, what about
Since this one's mine. go
what
ahead.
about the guy that was in the horse costume and the girlfriend was the bottom half and her head was like up his ass? Like, what was that? Like, who would agree to do that?
Yeah, it seems like something you would want to do in like a play for like 5 seconds.
That's not
like...
no couple would agree to do that.
Nope.
Yeah, I think this movie just wanted to be funny in some moment. Like when she thought she saw a dude, but turned around and it was a chick with a very muscular body. She's like, ugh. She like looks away. Yeah, this movie is really funny in a lot of
It is,
sequences
yeah.
that it wants to be. It's got a lot of heart too, man. So I guess I'm gonna do my review first, since I'm the one that recommended this one. So this movie is one of my favorites, if not honestly one of my, like, maybe even my favorite movie. So I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10. This movie was one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast in the first place, because I wanted to talk about movies like this. As far as like what it is and what it's trying to do, the reason I give it a 10 out of 10 is because for what it is and trying to do, I don't feel like it could have done any better. I feel like it's it's the best anthology movie that I've seen. Personally, it perfectly encapsulates the spirit and tradition of Halloween in a way that I don't think could be surpassed by another film. It could be equaled but not surpassed, I think. There's not really any plot points that bug me. It's well framed. I like that they take risks, like with the color grading. When it shows the special need kids and it shows like the really heavy orange on the bus. I love that stuff. I think I love everything about this movie, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. And I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Okay. Who's next?
You can go next, Tasha.
Okay. Well, I don't like it as much as you do, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I know I said, you asked me earlier, and it was gonna be a little bit lower, but I caught some extra stuff this viewing than I did last time. The only thing, like I said, negative, I wish the werewolves didn't look like vampires. But other than that, 8 out of 10. Jake?
Josh?
Or
Jake?
Josh?
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it a. It had it. Yeah, I'll probably do an 8 out of 10, 8 or 9. But because the only thing that was lacking, and it almost had everything. Like it had all the comedy, it had the suspense, and the storylines were pretty cool throughout. And so it was a well put together movie. And it was it's a movie it's worth owning, so you can rewatch it, and always get something new out of it. So I do think that's pretty cool. But the horror part, I think, is the thing that wasn't really there. But you really can't fit everything into one movie too. So I'm not expecting it to.
Yeah.
Like, I can forgive that. That's.
Yeah. Real quick, I just wanted to comment on that. The first time I saw this movie was when I hadn't seen a whole lot of horror yet.
Yeah.
It was like the 5th horror movie I'd seen, so I was a bit of a weenie. So the whole thing, pretty much, except for the werewolf one, scared me. So anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it was a really good movie. And so, just kind of like with Boys in the Trees, it had a good story to follow through. And so, yeah,
So,
not
did
too
you-
much else to say.
8 or a 9? You said you were kind of wishy-washy on that.
I'll go 8.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
good.
gonna go a 9 out of 10 for me. I think I watched this movie for the first time 2 or 3 years ago, and I have watched it at least once a year ever since. So it's been in my heavy rotation. So obviously I like this movie, but like Mike said, it is the perfect Halloween movie. Even
Yeah.
more so than the original Halloween with Michael Myers, this movie encapsulates the holiday perfectly, and it is the one Halloween movie you have to watch because it's a great anthology. It's got kind of different types of stories and different types of horror for every type of person, and they're all done so well and interwoven, and it's just a fun movie. I think that stems from the anthology nature and kind of that the comic book kind of look and feel they try to tie into it and like the credits and stuff. And I also it's one of those movies where at the end of it I was like I wish that was longer, which that is a great thing. If you get to it the end of a movie and you're like that was too long, that's not good. But if you get to the end and you're like I wish there was more, that's probably a good thing. That's how you want to go out. So 9 out of
Yeah.
10 for me.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, so in between now and recommendations, we always do a really quick segment where we mention any horror that we've seen in between that is not part of the four. So last week, or last month rather, we talked about Stranger Things a little bit. Have you guys seen the premiere of the new Creepshow show?
I have not yet, but
I haven't either.
it looks
I just wanted to know.
from what I've seen there's like some claymation, so I'm interested to see what that is.
I love clay.
Ooh, I'm gonna watch that after this then.
Have y'all watched the modern Child's Play?
I did, yeah.
I haven't seen it. What do you guys feel? Go ahead.
It's different from the original. I'm going to be blatantly honest. It has a different feel, but what they did with it, I like it.
Cool.
It
Jake?
It was fine. I wasn't in love with it. I thought it was decent.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I don't see myself ever watching it again. But it was good enough to watch once, but there wasn't anything for me there wasn't anything groundbreaking or particularly new that they did. Although they did kind of like the new Pet Cemetery from earlier this year. I thought they changed enough from the original story that it's completely its own
Yeah.
thing. It's not like a
Yep.
shot-for-shot remake of the original Child's Play. It's definitely its own thing. I didn't really connect with any of the characters except for Paperboy,
Yeah.
the black cop that lives down the hall.
And they've made a couple Star Wars jokes in it because Luke Skywalker is Chucky.
Yeah. Or what
So it's kind of funny.
doesn't he have a different name in this one?
No, his name's Chucky.
Is it? Oh.
Yes. But the dolls are different. They're called buddy
Yeah,
dolls
that's
instead
right.
of good
That's
guy
right.
dolls. But other than that, that's all I've seen.
How about It Too? Did any of you guys?
Oh yeah, we
see
haven't talked about that because we were going
yeah,
to
we
see
Well,
it.
so I actually
What do you
wanted
think?
to do a separate discussion thing on that, and kind of make it come out slightly after Halloween. But it's up to you guys. We can delve into it now. But I feel like that's going to be its own 30-minute thing, and so this is sort of a foreshadow. For
All right,
that.
everyone
Yeah,
give
we
a
like-
Hey, that's coming
everyone
soon.
give like a 20-second like just overall what did you think of the movie?
Okay,
Josh.
let's do it.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Josh,
start.
boom.
I liked it. I liked it a lot, but I love jump scares, and I love how they illustrated these monsters this time around. And so, even this second movie was, they did a good job kind of matching it. Then having Bill Hader as one of the adults, so you have these comedians like participating in it. And I'm also noticing, like when comedians are involved with these horror things, it actually works really well because it's kind of like that. Or if you want like About Us with Key Peele or
Jordan
Key
Peele.
Peele or Michael Jordan Peele. There you go. Yeah, so it's that whole like twist at the end and having a comedian be involved with that. I like that whole aspect to it, but just the comedic relief always intertwined within the movie makes you relax, and so like that whole suspense and then relax, suspense, relax. Like you don't know what's coming, so it's not like how some movies just have the music like on the whole time where like something's gonna get you. Like this is like, oh yeah, scared, but then there's some type of joke or something funny happens and like it relaxes you again. So you don't. It's a lot harder to kind of anticipate what the next thing is going to. So that's my big thing. Yeah.
Well, I'll go ahead and go. Mine's just really brief. I did not like it. I just felt like it was way too long. I felt like they could have cut a decent amount.
I liked it okay. I thought that it was an average movie that follows up an excellent movie, so that makes me feel like it's a lot worse than it actually is. And I didn't. I thought that the casting was good and that the story was good, but there was a lot that could have been cut, and for me, it wasn't quite scary enough. Everything that was good in the movie was sort of ruined in the trailer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And everybody was going to go see this movie, so I don't understand why they had to show it smashing its face on the glass
Yeah.
or in the bleachers, and like the old lady in the dark in the background. I'm like, okay, those are the key moments in the movie, and you fucking spoiled it. Fuck you. So that's what I was thinking.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay, my thing, I with Mike, I also thought it was average, maybe slightly above, but I think what Mike and I had kind of decided after we watched it is the pacing and like everything felt like a Marvel movie with this one, where it was like,
Yeah. That was my big thing I was going to mention in the full review, but go ahead. Go ahead. Spoiler. It's fine.
I will say this was completely Mike's wording. I'm just bastardizing it. But basically, like, there were no stakes in this movie. Like, at no point did I feel like anyone was in real danger. And even when people died, I was like, I don't give a shit. Just because, like, I think what you said, Josh, you liked kind of the joke, the horror of the joke. For me, the jokes just didn't land, and I was like, oh my god, this is such a groaner. And it completely took me out of the horror. So I didn't like that aspect, but I'm gonna watch it again for sure. And I love this story and this universe, so I like the second movie okay, but it doesn't feel like it was done by the same director as the first one. It doesn't feel like it's a completely
like
different tone
true sequel
than the first one.
It's almost like a fan sequel.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a fan sequel. And one thing that I wanted to say I don't like is that the bully was alive, because he didn't really, his presence in the second one wasn't very welcome to me, and I feel like that they put him in there just to be like, just to include him, and they could have just cut him because he fell in that well and I thought he was dead. Everybody thought he was dead. It was fine. They could have left it at that and changed that. And I didn't think that his presence paid anything off, and I'm kind of upset that they kept him in.
Well, that was a big part of the book, him coming back, but they focused on the wrong I think they in the new movie they focused on the wrong aspect of Henry Bowers. Like, they didn't focus on him as a menacing figure. Again, because they used, I think it was the joke of like, cut your mullet, asshole, like when he kills Henry Bowers. Like, okay, that just cut any type of like tension or I don't, it just cut everything from the scene for me personally. I didn't like a lot of the jokes in the movie.
Okay. Well, if you're listening to this podcast and you made it this far, one of the things that I wanted to recommend for the week, as far as just random, they're not a sponsor of the show or anything, but I want to say, if you haven't heard of Shudder, go check it out, because we have been watching a lot of content on it, and I feel like that people don't recognize it as the Netflix of horror because their marketing budget isn't very good. So if you made it this far, you're probably a pretty freaking big fan of horror. If you made it through the slow pace.
Or you're my coworker, Liz. Hi, Liz. I'm sorry you haven't seen any of these movies.
So y'all want to go ahead and do recommendations?
Yeah. Do you guys want me to go first?
I'll go first.
You go. Hey, ladies first.
So next month is my birthday month, so I am going to do my favorite horror, and I'm doing the 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street.
I've never seen that movie. Is it good?
You've seen it.
Seen it. All right. Since I'm sitting right next to Tasha, I'm gonna say I'm gonna recommend Midsommar, but I'm gonna recommend the director's cut.
Nope.
I will give you guys my. You say nope?
I'm not watching more than 2.5 hours. Nope.
It's 3 hours. It's only 30 more minutes. It's supposed to be a lot better. I haven't seen the director's cut yet, but I just got it on.
It's only 3 hours.
iTunes. Dude, it'll be worth it. You'll be like, this is the greatest thing.
It's gonna be another Suspiria. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm more confident you guys will like this one than Suspiria. But all right, you can watch the normie one, but the director's cut is gonna make more sense. It's the director's intention, and especially because of the payoff in the end, it's gonna be so much better if you watch the director's cut. And it's only 30 more minutes.
If the director
just
can't get his point
beer.
across in 2.5 hours, he doesn't know what he's doing.
God, darn you! If you go into the movie knowing that it's slow, then it'll be fine. It's not nearly as slow as any of the movies during our slow month, where we all recommended slow movies.
I'm just
and
giving you
it
shit,
was
Mike.
all
I'm
slow.
just liking how angry you're getting.
Just stop.
I'm just popping the vein
All right.
over here.
Jake, what's your recommendation?
I was on the fence if, since we hadn't really debated and had very different opinions in a while, I was going to recommend something I know that at least two of you aren't going to like. But since we debated on Pumpkinhead a lot, I'm going to recommend the Candyman this month. I'm keeping the 90s horror alive.
I know
Okay.
some key info I'm going to say for that one.
I don't remember that one fully, but it scared me a lot as a kid, and I can't wait to see it again.
Okay, and Josh?
Oh, we can't hear you, Josh. Your mic's broken.
I think Josh should just recommend A Quiet Place. Done.
No.
I kind of want to keep this. Look, he's got
Oh.
The Fly.
Okay.
Which one? The original or the Jeff Goldblum one? The original?
Original.
Okay. The original Fly.
I can read your lips.
Okay. All right.
Superfly. Like the Joe cartoon Superfly.
I need
Oh.
to check a lot.
All right, so Jake's going to do his shirt plug, and then see you guys next week.
Yeah, we have
Next month.
we have one, well, probably two new shirts out by the time this comes out. Which one did just come out?
Your space
Yeah.
one.
I don't even know my own shirts. Tasha knows better than me. So I just had a new one come out called Alien Space Camp. It's kind of a play off of like the mid-century space program logo. So if you like that design style, you might like this one. And then my last shirt that should be out by the time this comes out, kind of for the Halloween season. It's a cross-stitch inspirational quote that everyone can live by. Disembowel your doubts. Quote to live by.
Okay. I like it. Can I put in a fan request on your shirt before we go?
I suppose.
I want a little Sam lollipop, just the lollipop.
I will check on the copyright of that and get back to you.
Yeah, nobody owns lollipops.
Or he can do one, be like, I dump your ass.
Yes.
I might have
We'll buy both of those.
I might have missed the boat on the Stranger Things 3 hype, but that is a good idea.
You got one guaranteed sale. You got one
That's
guaranteed.
all I need.
Yeah. Keeps the lights on.
Keeps the website up.
All right, guys. Be sure to like this video, leave a comment, dislike this video, whatever you want to do. Just let us know, hey, I made it to the end. You guys suck.
I made it to the end. I hate Mike's voice.
All right. Our fans are now referred to as the Imagineers. All right. I just really like that joke from last week.
I agree.
Or last month. I keep saying week. I think that's another meme in the group is we say week instead of month.
We
so.
do.
You guys have a nice and spooky Halloween.